Hi, welcome to Healing the Trauma Within. In this session, I am talking with Laurie Herbers, and we are going to be talking about how to use the present to heal the past and enhance your future. Let me tell you about Laurie. She is an empowerment coach and author. In her youth, she struggled in abuse and trauma, carrying the pain forth into adulthood. Hating life was her home and daily struggle until the day she decided to change her thoughts and beliefs and pursued love with a fervor that superseded everything else. Now her mission is to guide over 1 million individuals into the fullness of love so they can pursue their purpose with passion and love. She is passionate about others, never having to go another day feeling worthless, unwanted, unloved, feeling guilt, shame, pain, and judgment. She works with individuals struggling in life or business to gain clarity, become empowered, love all of their pieces, find their purpose, heal their soul wounds, own their own power, and use the power of the mind to manifest all the good things. Welcome, Laurie.
Hi.
It's always a little daunting after you hear your bio read.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's like a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you here. This is a big topic. I know you said in the green room that it was near and dear to your heart as it is to mine, because that's one of the things I practice or that I preach is moving past your past and focusing on your present. So that's what we're going to do today is talk about that. But in relation to, using your present to heal your past, I'm curious, isn't the first step to let go of the past in order to be in the present?
It depends. Like for me, there's very specific moments in my life that wounded me deeply, that it wasn't just something I can just let go of. And as I began to understand that time is not linear. So, because before I always believed like whatever happened in the past, it's the past, there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to deal with it and move on. But the thing is, there's love in everything. Love is in all time. And so I learned to go back into these very specific memories that caused me the most pain and trauma and give myself what I needed in that moment. I could heal that moment. It changed my perception on the entire experience. So, for example, the first one I ever did was I remember being really little, sneaking down the stairs. I don't know why I was the only one home, but my mom was on the phone, and that's when I found out that my dad never wanted me. And it was a very defining moment in my life because I couldn't figure out why he always treated me so badly. I thought there was something wrong with me, and I heard her on the phone talking about how he didn't talk to her for 6 months when he found out she was pregnant with me. He didn't want any more kids, and it was just this very soul wounding moment in my life. And so I went back to that little girl of myself and was like, what did I need in that moment? I needed to be hugged and loved and know that that was an issue with him. It had nothing to do with me. And so once I went back to that moment and reframed it and changed my perspective, other than this morning thinking about what am I going to talk about today, I haven't thought about that moment. It is because I healed that piece of me that was wounded in that moment. And so I used that, this was a while ago. I used my present moment to go back into that memory and just fill myself with whatever it was that I was missing in that moment. And it healed what I call a soul wound, because it literally it scarred my soul, I guess you could say. So by going back,
I can imagine.
Yeah, so going back and healing that and understanding that had nothing to do with me whatsoever. And this new understanding, because when you're little, your ability to think logically, you don't have it. And so, but as an adult now, I can go back and go, okay, that was my dad's feeling. It doesn't have to be my feeling. I don't have to keep carrying that weight of those words that I heard. So yeah.
That's a powerful thing for a little girl to hear. Oh my goodness. So how do we go back and do that? Do you just meditate? Do you journal? Do you just talk to yourself? What do you do?
You could do all of those things. I think it depends what works best for you. I am really big on journaling, but I'm also very good at visualizing. So it wasn't something this wasn't something I journaled. It was just a really odd thing that I just did. It was after I had started really understanding how love works and how love is in all things, and we all have love within us. We come from love. We are love. That I was like, what was I missing back then? Because that was a really painful moment. What did I need? What did I need then? And I was like, well, I can go back and hug myself. Like, I mean, there's tears streaming down, and yeah, it was just, I don't even know. There's just been really weird things in my life where just following intuition and that inner wisdom kind of led me that way. And that was one of my small ones. I've had much bigger ones. And I think I worked my way up to the biggest one. And once I hit that one, I haven't been back since, honestly. So yeah, it's
So
just a
once you
matter.
kind of I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so it's just going to be however it works well for you. If you're visual, it might be a visualization you do. If you like to meditate, it might be a meditation you do. If you like to journal, you might just journal it out. But I mean, it's whatever works for you to heal that wound.
Okay, that makes sense. So once you were able to heal it and reframe it, it just never came back up for you.
It's like you take back your power.
God, what a concept.
Right?
What a concept to never have to think about those painful moments in our past again. I can hear the listeners going, I want to do that.
And it is so funny. And it's just been intuition because I've led different clients to different strange things where, we have done like a visualization and they led me to where they wanted to go. So I was basically there with them as their support system, but they had to tell me what they were seeing because I wasn't there in that moment. But it has helped so many people by doing that, by going back and giving yourself what it was that you needed. Because then now
Right.
you're full, you're no longer empty from that moment.
So it's almost like you're rewriting that moment.
You're turning your perspective because your perspective is always changing, but you were caught in that, for me, that youthful perspective of I'm unwanted and unlovable and, all these things that I thought I was because of that moment, and realize that I'm not those things. So yeah, it's like a shift in your perspective. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, usually what I call is usually I was living in a lie. And once you disprove the lie, you no longer hold on to it. And now you're standing in the truth. So that moment from that lie that I was unwanted wasn't true. Because I was like, oh, well, my mom wanted me. She wanted me more than anything.
Right.
So it's just sometimes we're looking over here when all we have to do is look over there and go, oh, because I can't even tell you how many years I held on to the fact that my dad didn't want me. I never once looked and went, well, my mom wanted me. Otherwise, I'd be here.
Right. I did the same thing with my dad abandoned me, even though he didn't, but it felt like he did because he didn't fight for me for custody. So for years, I felt like dad abandoned me until I found out that it wasn't that he abandoned me. It was that he didn't want to put me through a custody battle,
Yeah.
And so once my perspective shifted, once I learned the truth, like you said, everything just kind of locked into place and started changing. So how does that show up once you heal that one aspect? How does that carry through to all the other things that kind of happen because of it?
Exactly. And it depends. Like for me, that was just one of the smaller ones. Like I had this other memory that was huge. Like once I hit that one, sometimes we have this just big one, but sometimes we have to work our way up. I wasn't in the right place, the right mindset to handle, because I actually found a repressed memory in that one that I didn't even know.
Right.
So again, trusting intuition, I went to the ones that were standing, that I felt like, okay, this one, for some reason, I keep thinking of this one. So let's go back and look at it. Why is this one still popping up? What is it that I needed? And so as I built that, I had to re-empower myself to go back to that big one. And for some people, it might just be the big one. That might just be what started it all. But once you fix that, it's almost like everything else unravels. I haven't had to go back since I healed that really big one. It was a big one. It was a doozy. It was one of those where I had to sit down and go, whoa, wait a minute. I don't remember this. Yeah. But you have to trust where you're at because I carried all that abuse with me for so long. If I would have tried to dig into that big one, I'd probably be in a rubber room somewhere. I'm kidding. But I wouldn't be able to handle it. You have to get powered enough to be able to get into that. Really, some of those are big ones. So,
and that's why a lot of times we do repress those memories because we're not ready to handle and face them yet.
Yeah.
So now, what about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's just almost like, when you think of a ball of yarn that's all tangled, you have to slowly, untangle one piece at a time, kind of a thing. So sometimes you can't get to the main knot until you get some of those little ones out of the way.
Right. But for what about for those, like so many trauma survivors kind of stuck in their past, how do we bring them into the present to heal their past?
I guess I always say journaling because journaling is, and for some people, I've had clients who are like, but I don't write. It's not about writing. In this case, it's about cleansing. It's about getting all of that out of yourself because it just festers down in there. And so as you start pulling things out and sorting through, again, like the yarn, each piece by piece, pretty soon you realize then the knot's just going to start unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
But until you actually start doing it, and it's a daily effort. Like I had to every single day, because I was probably like a year where I was really searching for love because I knew it existed and I wanted it. I didn't know what it looked like. So it was a daily choice. Every day I had to sit down and go, all right, what am I looking for today? Or how can I find it? Or grounding and breathing in love was like huge for me. This is like a visualization of every time I took a breath, I was just filling myself up with love. So it's about, I guess, making sure your needs are met every single day. And as you start to understand yourself, because like for me, because I had shoved so much stuff down, if you asked me what I liked or what to even do for self-care, I was like, I don't know. I have no idea because I never took care of myself because I didn't matter. That's what I truly believed. So it's again, baby steps. If it's just one thing today, what is one thing I really like to do? If I don't know, I'm just going to start trying stuff. I'm going to go listen to some music, or I'm going to dance around the house, and then I'm going to write down like, okay, that didn't help, or yeah, that was pretty cool. I'm going to do that some more. So it's like a step-by-step process, using your present. You have to build that stuff up. You have to take back your power. You have to do whatever it is that empowers you, and you have to find those things that empower you. I could sit there and tell you all the things that empower me, but that might not be what empowers you. So again, it's a daily choice of, okay, what can I do for me today? How can I show myself love today? How can I show myself that I matter? And do those things until you find the things that really work for you.
Now, when you say that, you were searching for love, you're talking about self-love.
Just love in general, because the way my dad talked to me, being unwanted, said I was stupid and worthless and I never amounted to anything. And I even had my brother tell me at one point he felt bad for me because no one would ever love me. No, it was legit love, period. Like I didn't feel like I had it at all. I always felt like I was standing outside looking at everybody's houses, at all the amazing lives that they had, going, where's mine? So when I say I went searching for love, it was all of it. I was like so lost in the hate and the heavy and the guilt and shame and judgment. That's why once I realized there's a way out of that, it's like huge for me to help other people. No, you don't have to live in that all the time. We're not meant to live in turmoil. We're meant to live in love and peace and joy and that glorious freedom that it brings you. So yeah, when I went searching for love, it was love. All aspects of it.
How uncomfortable was that for you in the beginning?
Pretty uncomfortable. Yeah. I literally had to set an alarm to go off every single hour to go, where am I at right now? Where am I? Am I in my head space or my heart space? Am I going, I don't like myself? Or am I in here going, oh, everything's great? Which usually I was back up here because I didn't know there was a difference between that headspace and that pure loving space. So every hour I had an alarm going off to remind me to go, where am I right now?
That's a really good idea, to just stop and check in with yourself on a regular basis. Am I in my head space or my heart space? I like that, because we do live here so much and it's not always pretty up there.
It's a mess of epic proportions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm reminded of like, a room full of filing cabinets and papers strewn everywhere. That's kind of what mine looks like. Sticky notes all over the place. But yeah, so check in with yourself every once in a while, or like you said, set an alarm and just make sure that you're back in that heart space. But how do we, I guess getting past that uncomfortableness, because we're so used to living in turmoil and chaos, so that living in love and peace is so foreign. Is it just practice to get past the uncomfortableness?
Yes. And I think the best way I describe it is think of like when babies are born, they're pure love energy. So it's somewhere along the line, it's the traumas and the what people say to you throughout life that knocks you out. So really, you came from and are that love frequency. It's its own frequency. So it's like when you go out in the cold and you come inside and you like want to warm up, and so you get by a heater and it just like almost hurts your skin because you're not acclimated. So you have to reacclimate yourself to that love frequency because you're so stuck down in these lower fear and lack kind of energies. That trauma brings you down. Yeah, it is like it's almost like coming out from the cold. You're coming in from the cold. So you have to like reacclimate yourself to that energy, which is why it was so hard for me to stay in it. Like I could get in my heart space for like and then I was done. I was like, oh, and I'm out because it was so different. I didn't remember it. But the thing is, all of your body, all your cells remembers that love because it came from love. So that's why I set the alarm, because I literally could not stay. So I had to do it over and over and over and over. And then slowly all of a sudden I had a 2-hour alarm and then a 3-hour because I slowly got used to it. And then I remember telling one of my mentors, I'm like, now that I remember what it's like to be in the love frequency, just standing in it, now I notice when I get out of it, because now I've reacclimated. So when I step out, I'm like, oh no, I'm coming back in. And I'm like, how did I get out of there for so long? Because
Right.
I acclimated to that different frequency. So yeah, it's just like learning to walk. You're going to take a step and fall down, but it's about that conscious effort to go, okay, I'm going to keep going. I know it feels a little weird, but it's a good weird. So I'm going to keep going. Yeah.
And self-care plays a huge part of that.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Oh, it really does. I remember, I think I was talking to my sister one day, just out of the blue, the weirdest things come out of my mouth, but I was like, when you think about being in a relationship with someone and you think about yourself, like if you're dating someone and they don't ever take you anywhere or do anything nice or make you feel good or make you smile, you're going to break up with them. But you can't break up with yourself. And we don't think about that. First and foremost, you're in a relationship with yourself. And I would have had to kick myself to the curb all those years that I didn't do anything for me. Nothing, which then taught other people that that's how you treat me.
Right.
That's not how you treat me anymore. Now people are like, oh, don't swear, Lord will like it. They're like, they'll back up. They don't tell dirty jokes. Like I've worked in manufacturing and I would walk up on people and they would stop talking because they knew that there was a line drawn in the sand. I'm not doing these dirty jokes. I don't want to hear the swearing. They would just stop talking when I would walk up. And like, oh, Laurie's here. Can't say it. I'm like, good.
Well, that's good that they adhered
yeah.
to your boundaries and that you created those boundaries, because boundaries are very important.
Exactly. But we don't do that. When you're caught in that trauma and abuse, there's no boundaries. People walk all over you because you think that's what you deserve.
We're just the welcome mat.
Yeah. Let me tell you, you're not. You are worth the world. You are love. There's no reason why people shouldn't love every piece of you, but you have to show them how to do that. And it all starts with you. So
you have to learn how to love every piece of you first.
Yep.
This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. I think for me, my biggest takeaway was checking in with myself on a regular basis. Am I in my head space or my heart space? And I think I'm probably going to have to start setting that alarm and just check in. Where am I at? Most likely it's going to be up in my head, but eventually I will get back into the heart space. And listeners, I encourage you to do the same thing. So I think that was probably one of the biggest takeaways I had anyway.
Yeah. So reacclimate. Once you are, like I said, once you step out of that love space, you're gonna flip that. And so if anyone tries to go outside that love boundary, you're gonna be like, no.
Right. You're not gonna put up with what you used to put up with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you'll do it in a loving way. But you'll do it in a loving way. It's so crazy how it changed how I reacted. Where it used to be like an instant fight. I was the fight person, fight fire. I was fighting. That I don't even fight anymore. It's like, it's not worth all that energy when I can't give you, because you can't give what you don't have. And for all those years I didn't have love, I couldn't give it to anyone else. So, my relations were not good because I didn't even have anything to give anyone else. So, which is another reason why self-care is so important. If you want to be able to love everyone the way you want to be loved, you must first love yourself that way.
Absolutely.
To give it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Self-love is or self-care and self-love is just vitally important. Well, thank you again for coming on and being part of this summit. This has been fantastic. Listeners, thank you for tuning in and joining us. We'll talk to you in one of the next sessions.